This is The Fitting Lab, an EVE Online ship fitting video series. Today, we're examining the Speedy Gonzales of the Gallente Federation frigate line. It's faster than a speeding bullet, es la fregada muy rápida, it's the Atron. What's going on YouTube? It's James Ong here, aka Captain Ace Rico, and welcome back to a new look, new format Fitting Lab. Now I say new look and new format, it is still very similar to the format which you undoubtedly already know and love, but I'm just changing things up here and just adding a few little things in just to streamline the process a bit more for me, just make things a little bit more structured, a little bit easier for me there. So hopefully that is going to work out swimmingly. I'm sure it will. On the show today, it is just me. I do not have a guest with me, although in future shows I will be bringing back the guests again. But Mathia probably won't be on the Fitting Lab for the foreseeable future, but I will be bringing back some other guests for future shows. But yeah, today it is just me, and we are going to talk about Atron fits. So let's get straight into it here. First off, we will go and look at our Atron traits here. Actually though, before we get into this, I want to look at the description for the Atron, and you'll see why. So the Atron here is a hard nugget with an advanced power conduit system, but little space for cargo, although it is a good harvester when it comes to mining. So apparently, unbeknownst to all of us, the Atron here is actually not a bad little mining frigate. So, you know, this is according to the game. Yeah, so if you want to try an alt mining frigate fit, perhaps the Atron is exactly what you've been looking for. It does only have 3 low slots, but who knows, you know? Apparently, it's not too bad, even though, again, it has little cargo in it. It's not a bad little miner, apparently. Yeah, now obviously this here is leftover text from before ventures were a thing, before mining ships in general were a thing. And it is pretty hilarious that this is still in the game after all these years. And very, very typical of CCP, but not in a bad way, you know, in a cute kind of funny way, I think. And if a CCP dev does happen to see this, definitely don't change it on my behalf. This is a good little Atron nugget, little gold nugget, I suppose. And I like to show this to people whenever we're talking about Atrons. It always gets a bit of a laugh. Anyway, let's get on to the serious business of Atron fitting here. And first off, our bonuses here. So we have a 10% bonus to small hybrid turret fall off. So that's fall off range there, not our optimal range. Do keep that in mind. And a 5% bonus to small hybrid turret weapon damage, and that is of course per level for Gallente frigates. Then our roll bonus here, we get a 80% flat reduction to prop jamming systems. So an interesting little set of bonuses there. And I will be showing some fits which utilize all of these bonuses here. The prop jamming bonus is not something that a lot of people really I see making use of. Yeah, the Atron is not necessarily something which I see a lot of like super all-out kitey things fits for, basically. But yeah, it's something I've tried to put together, and I'm pretty happy with what we've got here. But let's go and look at the slot layout for the Atron. So we have 4 high slots for the Atron, with the 3 turret hardpoints. So you do have the option to throw a Newt or a Nosferatu on an Atron. We also have 3 mid slots here, so that's pretty good. We can do the prop and tackle thing. In the low slots, we have 3 lows, so just enough for some damage and some tank, or maybe just, you know, all of one or something, potentially. You probably want some tank in the lows, to be honest. And in the rigs, we have 3 rig slots. So pretty standard. All Tech 1 frigates have 3 rigs, and the Atron is no exception there. Right, so before we get into our fits, I just want to give you 3 things here which you should keep in your mind whilst you're fitting an Atron. So the first thing is the Atron is very, very fast. It is, in fact, the fastest Tech 1 frigate, but it is very fragile. So it really has a paper-thin tank, and what that means is you really need to try and speed tank a lot with this ship. So you want to fit in such a way that you can utilize the speed of the Atron to do a bit of speed tanking, because your actual base tank is quite low in the Atron. Coming on to point 2 here, the Atron has a very small SIG radius. So that's going to tie in quite nicely with your attempts at speed tanking here. Obviously, if you have a smaller SIG, then pretty much every weapon type is going to have a little bit more difficulty applying to you. And finally, just keep in mind of your roll or your bonuses here, your hull bonuses. So the fall-off bonus is actually quite interesting. Works quite well with blasters, actually, and both of the blaster fits that I show you here will be utilizing that fall-off range bonus. And yeah, the prop jamming bonus, do keep that in mind as well. There is some interesting things I feel that you can do with ships that have a prop jamming bonus, especially with these frigates where often with a kitey frigate, you don't really have enough capacitor to hold anything for longer than sometimes even 30 seconds, to be honest, with the amount of cap that a point uses. Anyway, let's get straight into our fits here. And speaking of fits which rely on a point, we have one right here. So our first fit here, this is an AB Kite Atron. So a kind of weird little Atron fit here. Definitely something that I don't feel is hugely expected. And how we fly this ship is we want to generally try to keep things at about 15 kilometers range. That's the range that we want to fight at. So to do that, we're going to have our web hot all the time. Situationally, we will heat our AB. When we heat our AB, we're going to get 1800 meters per second out of this ship. So almost 2k hot, which is pretty damn quick for an AB ship. And then cold, I think we get pretty close to 1400. So 13.8 there. Pretty damn good. The Atron is a very fast frigate, like I said. Yeah, keep your web hot. If anything gets remotely within 13k of you, start smashing that web. Get that on them straight away and maintain your range control, which you're going to be able to do in a very fast little frigate here. Our primary ammo that we're going to use is going to be Dreadgarista's thorium. So Dreadgarista's thorium are a little bit more expensive than like the Navy thorium. You're looking, I think in this fit, I've got stacks of 240. So this is 2 full clip loads, I suppose. 2 full racks of ammo there. And yeah, I think you're looking at somewhere between 1 to 2 mil for a stack of 240. Now I have 2 types of Dreadgarista's ammo here. I have the thorium charge and the uranium charge. Potentially to save a little bit of money, you could switch the uranium over to Fed Navy, because I don't see you using the uranium charge a hell of a lot. The uranium charge has an optimal of 13k, and I kind of feel like 13k is a little bit too close for you to operate at. It doesn't really give you enough play. Anything can obviously hot web you from that range, so I feel like it will be a bit too difficult for you to maintain your range control if you're trying to fight at like 13k. So potentially this one you could change to the Navy type to save a little bit of money there. Just generally with the fit otherwise. So yeah, we've got a rep here, but with this fit, we're looking to really not take any damage. So there's going to be so many frigates in factional warfare that you will find which can't project past 10k, let alone out to 15k. So there's so many things that you can fight with this and can kill with this, and I really feel like get some really good upship kills with this fit here as well. And yeah, with your prop jamming bonus there, you get quite a lot of life out of your cap. Without your rep running, you're definitely cap stable. And in fact, with the rep running and with the paste loaded, you're still cap stable. But obviously your paste is not going to last for that long. But yeah, again, this one is not one that you're going to be tanking a lot of damage with. You're really trying to avoid taking damage with this fit. Anyway, let's move on to our brawly Atrons here, our solely brawly Atrons. The first one we'll actually look at here is this Scram Kite Atron. Now, I have flown this one before on the YouTubes, so if you want to see that, you can. I will leave a link in the description of the video for me flying this fit. Now, like I said, this is, I guess, a Scram Kite fit, although it can brawl. It can brawl. But doesn't do it as well as this other fit I've got here, which this fit here is basically what I was trying to do with this one here, although this next fit here, which I'll show you in a second, is quite hard to actually fit, like fitting requirements wise. So yeah, I kind of feel like this is a good little interim step towards that fit. But basically here, I feel like predominantly you will use null with this fit. We are making use of our fall off bonus here. You can see we can hit all the way out to 10 kilometers with null here, which is really, it's pretty fantastic. Like a lot of Scram Kite ships don't actually hit out to 10k. Like a Tormentor, for example, will only hit out to 8 or so kilometers. So yeah, it really reaches right to the edge of that cold web range and, you know, your scram range essentially. So, and with the, with blasters and with fall off, we really applied very well in fall off range with the blasters there, with the fast cycle time and the high, like, base DPS of a blaster, turret. Just generally, this is a Scram Kite boat that can brawl a little bit. You can switch out to Fed Navy Antimatter there and brawl some things as well. And it's what I really like about this is that it's versatile. So we can switch up our flying style depending on what we're going to fight. So, you know, even for example, you can take a fight and go into the fight with null loaded, and then halfway through the fight you might realize, okay, I might want to brawl this guy. But then you could just consider leaving the fight and then, reloading your paste, reloading into the correct ammo and coming back and then brawling. So it is really very versatile like that. And if you fight someone and you're looking to Scram Kite the first time you fight them, when you come back in, they're going to expect you to do the same thing again. But the Atron here gives you the option to switch up what you can do with the ship, which is really nice. Now, the Brawl Scram Kite fit here, this is very, very similar. The only thing that changes here is our rigs. So we've still got the ambit extension to give us the extra fall-off range. But instead of the tank rigs, the hull, the transverse bulkheads there, we have a Metastasis adjuster, which is a tracking rig. So this will give us a little bit better tracking when we're up close with our blasters here. And we have a burst aerator. So we're going to get more DPS out of this fit. This one is really, I feel, the optimal sort of setup for this style of Atron, but it's very, very difficult to fit. You can see that even my character here can't fit this without an implant. That being said, it's only going to require like a 1% power grid implant, so it's still a very viable fit. But yeah, like I said, it's fairly high skill points requirement. If you want to fit this without any implants whatsoever, you're going to need Advanced Weapon Upgrades 5 and Hybrid Weapon Rigging 5, because you've got 3 hybrid weapon rigging rigs here. So yeah, one very off the beaten path skill and one skill that just takes a long time to train. And then obviously you'll need all of your other fitting skills, your normal fitting skills, power grid management, whatever, all the way to 5 as well there. So yeah, it's a difficult fit to sit in this one, but if you've got the skill points for it, a really great little Brawl Kite Atron. The next one we have here is, we're going to look at, this is a HSSR Atron. HSSR is just an acronym for High Speed Short Range. So this is just an acronym that my former corp Stay Frosty used to use. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So high speed, we're using a micro warp drive. We can go almost 4K hot, so 3.7, cold, 3.7 cold, and then hot, we're all the way up to 5.3. So the speed of the Atron really shining there. We can catch a lot of things with this. And obviously, yeah, using this in a gang, I reckon minimum of 5 people. You kind of, maybe 4 you could do. Depends what you're fighting. But yeah, ideally 5 and up in a little gang using these fits here. And yeah, very, very powerful together. And you're going to utilize a lot of the Atron's strengths with this fit. If you have 5 guys with you, you can throw some webs on some of the Atrons. Then you can web your targets down and orbit them with your micro warp drive off at close range. And, you know, the Atron with its small sig and high base speed will really still tank a lot of things quite well. And you can really get under the guns of a lot of bigger targets with the Atron with its small sig there and with its high base speed. Now, I do have one more fit to show you here, but I haven't actually imported it to game, so let me do that. Okay, so our final fit here is another gang fit. This is a remote rep gang blaster Atron. So here we are using electron blasters, so the easiest fitting blaster there. And then we've got just 1 rep on this Atron here. So again, I reckon probably a gang of 5 is a good place to start with this little ship here. It is cap stable. We will load some of our stuff into here. So the cap booster in there, we are now cap stable. We might as well throw some. Let's throw some antimatter in the guns. Why not? Fed Navy. So 123 DPS. So you throw 5 of these together, and you have what, 600-ish DPS, a bit more, quite a lot. So yeah, a very good little remote rep ship. Remote reps, a very interesting little gang type, but can be quite difficult to coordinate successfully. But I feel like with the Atron here, it's not going to be too bad. You know, you're all just going to blam off to your target, get a scram on him and whatever, and then hopefully at that point, you're all sitting within range of each other. And you can provide reps to each other and that sort of thing. But, you know, there's a lot of micro clicking and whatever with remote rep gangs. So, yeah, an interesting flying style, but staying within range of each other and applying the reps and shooting people and stuff can be a little bit tricky. So you do want to be quite a well-coordinated gang. Anyway, that is our 5 Atron fits here for today. So all of the fits that we have talked about here, or that I have talked about here, will be linked in the description of the video. So if you want to try them out, they will be linked down there. Also in the description of the video, I'm going to link the 4 Atrons of the Apocalypse. I think it's 4. Anyway, the Atrons of the Apocalypse will also be linked in the description of this video, which is, you know, if you are even remotely interested in Atron fitting, then that is something that you should definitely check out. It's almost a religious text when it comes to Atrons at this point, and definitely a very good read as well. And the fits there's some fits provided there. They're quite old, so they're not going to translate directly into the current meta, but I think they could probably be updated with, you know, the current module tier side and changes to, I don't know if the Atron got changed in the balance patch like 6-8 months ago or whatever it was, but yeah, the fits there should at least give you some inspiration as to what you could do with an Atron, and I think could be translated to the current meta. Anyway, that is the fitting lab for today. I do hope that you will join me for the next one, but once again, thank you very much for watching this video, and remember, as always, fly dangerous.